And by that time, you.
Good evening, everyone.
It is.
Welcome to our city council meeting tonight. We will begin tonight with our invocation from Pastor Kevin Burgess, the area director for Young Life, followed by our pledge of allegiance.
Good evening, let's pray. Father, creator and sustainer of life, thank you for the privilege to be a part of this community and for the responsibility you have given us to lead and to serve others here in Oak Hill, West Virginia. Jesus, Lord and Savior, thank you for the living as one of us, for saving us and for establishing your church to be salt and light as we guide and care for those around us. Holy Spirit, comforter and counselor, thank you for your active presence. Please be with us in our places of need. Help us to be generous towards others in need and give us wisdom to make decisions that allow this community to thrive. God, 3 in 1, please be with our mayor, city manager, council members. Help them to humbly perform their duties and responsibilities with ethical and moral courage and integrity. Help them to serve those you've entrusted to their care. Lord, please keep and protect those who keep and protect us, our police force and firefighters. Please encourage and enable our Parks and Rec, Public Works, and other city departments to provide a quality of life here in Oak Hill that honors you and invites others to put down roots and build community. Would you remove everything that hinders, devalues, destroys, and corrupts? Would you provide everything that encourages community, wellness, and growth? Would you be with each individual here tonight? Help us to be clear and kind in our communication and passionate in our pursuit of the safety, development, and prosperity of our families, schools, and businesses. Help us to be an example of your goodness to the other communities around us. Your will be done. Amen.
Amen.
Pledge allegiance
To the flag of the United States of America.
And to the republic for which it stands, one nation, God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Thank you all, Pastor Burgess. I now call to order the city council meeting August 10th, 6 p.m. 2026. Our clerk will call the roll, please.
Mayor Charles Briscoe,
Here.
Bill Hannabas,
Here.
Chris Gill,
Here.
PJ Elder,
Here.
Tim Buskus,
Here.
Diana Janey,
Here.
Roger Evans,
Here.
and Terry Van Busker.
Here.
Thank you. You've all read the minutes. May we have a motion to approve the minutes? Anyone?
Mayor, I'll make that motion to approve the minutes.
I'll second that
We
motion.
have a motion and a second to approve the minutes. All those in favor? All those opposed? Motion is carried. Treasurer's report. Do you have anything? Anyone? Okay. May we have a vote to accept our treasurer's report as is?
Mayor, I move to accept the treasurer's report as presented.
I second that
We
motion.
have a motion and a second to accept the treasurer's report. All those in favor? All opposed? Motion is carried. Do we have any correspondence? All right, thank you.
We do have two pieces of correspondence. You all were previously sent those letters. I don't know that you need to read them if you don't feel it's necessary, but those were sent to you all for review previously.
Okay. Good. All right, we will now move along to our City of Oak Hill Goes Purple proclamation, and I believe Ms. McCutcheon is here, and you have something that you would like to address with us. So you get to go first.
Good afternoon, guys. Thank y'all for having us. I'm just gonna go over just real quick what this is about and why it's important to us. So we're honored to stand before you on behalf of the Hope Dealer Project, founded in 2015 by Tara Mason, and the statewide West Virginia Goes Purple movement launched in 2023. West Virginia Goes Purple is more than a campaign. It's a movement of awareness, prevention, recovery, healing, and a hope that unites communities across our state during National Recovery Month each September. In 2023, West Virginia made history by becoming the first state in the nation to unite all 55 counties and communities together as one voice of recovery awareness. What began as an idea to bring light into one of the darkest public health crises our state has ever faced has now become a powerful statement movement reminding individuals and families that they are not alone. For far too long, West Virginia has been known for overdose statistics, addiction headlines, and loss. Together, we are changing that narrative, replacing stigma with compassion, silence with conversation, and hopelessness with recovery and resilience. The proclamation being signed today by Oak Hill is more than words on paper. It's a statement that this community stands beside individuals and families impacted by substance use disorder and believes that recovery is possible. Every purple ribbon displayed, every home or building lit purple, every awareness sign placed in a yard, and every conversation started throughout September sends a message of hope across communities. We encourage residents, businesses, schools, churches, organizations, first responders, recovery advocates, and community leaders throughout Oak Hill to wear purple and participate in awareness efforts and help us continue spreading the message across West Virginia. Thank you, Oak Hill, for turning on the purple light and standing with communities across West Virginia. Together, all 55 counties are sending one message: that recovery matters, that hope is alive, and that no family fights alone. This movement is proof that when West Virginians come together, with compassion and purpose, we can change lives, strengthen communities, and show the nation what it truly means to be a Mountaineer strong. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
I'm going to, last time I was out reading all these, I had the jitters so bad, I still got them tonight just a little bit, so I'm gonna read this from here. So no disrespect, but please bear with me. Whereas National Recovery Month is observed each September to increase awareness and understanding of mental health and substance use disorders, and to celebrate those in recovery for their strength and resilience. And whereas the color purple symbolizes the ongoing struggle faced by individuals, families, healthcare providers, and law enforcement in addressing the opioid and substance use crisis across our communities. And whereas West Virginia Goes Purple, founded by Tara Mason, founder and executive director of the Hope Dealer Project, is a statewide movement dedicated to raising awareness, reducing stigma, and supporting individuals and families impacted by the substance use disorder. And whereas the City of Oak Hill Goes Purple promotes prevention, treatment, and recovery resources while emphasizing the vital role local agencies and community members play in addressing this public health crisis. And whereas the City of Oak Hill Goes Purple encourages open dialogue, community engagement, and collective action to combat substance misuse and support recovery. Now therefore, we, the City of Oak Hill and the State of West Virginia, do hereby proclaim the month of September 2026 as City of Oak Hill Goes Purple, and call upon the citizens of the City of Oak Hill to observe this month through awareness, education, and community engagement. We encourage all residents to wear purple, light homes and businesses with purple lights, display purple ribbons or signage, participate in recovery-focused events and initiatives. In witness whereof, we have hereunto set our hand this 8th day of June, which is actually when we produced this, 2026. Charles Briscoe, Mayor, Tyler Bragg, Interim City Manager. Sir.
Can we come up? We'll get a photo.
Yes.
I am.
There you go. Thank you.
Appreciate it. Thank you.
Get to another event. Thank you.
See you guys Saturday. You are not alone. At Day Report Center. All right. You all are all welcome to come to the A&E Network's been following the Sheriff's Department, so we'll be on TV. All right, we're gonna move back to our citizens' comments. We have Mandy Riston, and she's invited to speak on behalf of, Mandy, you're gonna have to tell me,
Leadership Fayette County.
Leadership Fayette County. Thank you.
My name is Dr. Mandy Riston, and I am here on behalf of Leadership Fayette County. We are a nonprofit youth leadership organization. We work with juniors who are in high school. Brought one with me just to show and tell. Our mission for our organization is to inspire the youth of Fayette County to stay in Fayette County and help to make it better, to learn about their county and their cities, and also to get involved in the counties and the cities that they live in. Our vision is to empower. We want to empower. Sorry, I get emotional every time. We want to empower our Fayette County youth. We want them to know that they are just as special and strong and intelligent as any other young person in the United States. We accept 12 to 15 students every year. We have 12 to 15 sessions every year. Examples of sessions are Power Through Improv, Storytellers, Change Makers, and Service. We have a zombie apocalypse now, which is really fun for critical thinking for young leaders. And we have a new mentorship program that is a partnership with the middle school. So last year, our students went into the middle school, and beforehand, they learned the do's, the don'ts, and the data of drug prevention. And they were able to see in reverse how that mentorship works in leadership. We are asking the city to partner with us again this year. Last year, you donated 2 scholarships. Each year, our students get a $1,000 scholarship when they complete the program. And that includes graduation. They each have to speak at graduation. So we're asking for you to partner with us again this year. And we think it's more powerful, really, instead of me standing up here blubbering, to really hear from a student that has been in the program. So I'd like to introduce Isaac Lowry. He's going to tell you a little bit about his experience.
Good evening, everybody.
Good evening.
I'm going to talk about my experience with you guys today. So, in Leadership Fayette County, I learned quite a lot of things. I learned to public speak. I learned to breathe in stressful situations, and I learned to try new things. It's not the end of the world. One of the great aspects about Leadership Fayette County is I always felt welcome and included to voice my opinion anytime I wanted. Sometimes even if I didn't feel like speaking out that day, I'd always, be heard and be there. During the whole experience from start to finish, my opinion mattered. What else I love about Leadership Fayette County is not everybody is the same. It's not a bunch of, copy and paste juniors from high school. It's everybody from different schools and different backgrounds. I am so happy that I was a part of Leadership Fayette County, and I'm grateful to the opportunities they presented me, the hands I've shaken, and the opportunities that will be ahead of the road. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
I have 2 letters from 2 other ladies that couldn't be here tonight. I can either read them or send them to Valerie to distribute to the council, whatever you want.
You want to just send us the balance?
Sure.
That'd be fine.
I know you have other things you need to do, but thank you very much.
Thank
Appreciate
you.
it. Thank you.
Yes.
Thank you.
All right, our next up would be Sandy Smith. Every time she speaks, she has some work for me.
That's coming. I'd just like to come, I left the right card for everybody to look at. One of the things I like to do is invite you to ride in the parade. I'd like to get a trailer and get all of council, the mayor, city manager, and ride in the parade, show Oak Hill, our city managers, and who everybody is. And second, I think most of you heard by now that our guest this year is Hillary Williams, the daughter of Hank Williams Jr. And she's going to ride at the parade. She's going to sing songs with the tribute band. So we want to welcome her here. And we're gonna have a private dinner at the Lewis House on Saturday about 12:30, and we'd like you guys to come up for dinner and welcome her to the city and, you know, show her that, you know, she's appreciated here. She is a historian on her grandfather. And if anybody has any stories, anything that can help us, help her know more about her grandfather, we'd appreciate you guys letting us know. And if you'll let me know if you're gonna do the parade so I can get all that taken care of, I'd appreciate it. Thank you.
Thank you. Mr. Pennington, we have, the veterans banner listed on our new business, but if you'd like to speak right now, it'd be just fine.
Thank you so much. Yeah, so good evening. My name's Chris Pennington. I do know some of you folks here. I grew up in Oak Hill. I'm here though because I care deeply about this community. So a couple of weeks back, I sent Tyler an email asking the city to remove Elliot Pritt's veteran banner from Main Street. I want to thank Tyler for responding to that and also forwarding that request to you all. And I do appreciate seeing that on the agenda tonight, the veteran banner policy. Now, I didn't make this request lightly. These banners are public honor displayed on our Main Street and other city-owned properties. Sometimes extraordinary circumstances require us to reconsider whether continuing that honor is appropriate. The allegations against Elliot are extremely serious. They describe a child being groomed beginning when she was just 13 years old by an adult in a position of trust, with the alleged abuse eventually occurring right here in a classroom in our hometown. And I keep coming back to that young survivor and her family. They are part of this community too. They travel the same roads that you and I do. They shouldn't have to drive down Main Street and see a banner publicly honoring the person accused of doing this to her. I'm also concerned that leaving that banner up risks eventually someone taking matters into their own hands, potentially causing damage to surrounding property. Now, I'm glad council is discussing that the broader policy tonight on the veteran banners. We should have one for extraordinary circumstances like this, so future councils aren't left trying to figure things out if something else comes up. But we have this situation directly in front of us today. Now, I love this town. I care about who we celebrate and what message we send people who call Oak Hill home. So I'm asking you, please remove Elliot Pritt's banner from the city of Oak Hill. Thank you.
All right, thank you, Mr. Pennington. We now move to our unfinished business. Leadership Fayette County, that was Mr. Riston that just spoke. Y'all have any discussion on any of that? Any questions for Tyler?
Well, I will say we did discuss this at the last council meeting. You all requested to table the matter until we can find out some more information. We attempted to do so via email prior to, and Ms. Riston opted to come here and speak, and so you just heard her speak to that end. Our research on previous payments has not revealed anything different. It looks like we paid some to this organization in 2019 and then also in May of 2024. We still have yet to find the payment for 2025. So we have contributed at one point in time. Now, I will say there is not currently a line item allocation for this in the budget. So that's something you may want to consider as well. Aside from that information that Ms. Riston provided is the extent of information that I would have. But I'm happy to try to answer any questions you may have.
Any questions for Tyler? What do you want to?
What's the dollar amount of the request?
That's what I'm going to say. Their request was for $1,000 is the amount of their request for this scholarship.
It's an Oak Hill High student or a Fayette County student.
It's from
Okay.
all the high schools in
Yeah,
Fayette County.
anybody that's in the leadership, county, as I understand.
Yeah. You know, I don't know, it's not popular saying, I don't like to talk about it, as a matter of fact, but we are inundated with requests of contribution from nonprofit organizations. And I mean, there's none finer than Leadership Head County. There's none finer than I can list all of them. But I question if it's our mission to fund nonprofit organizations. And I'll leave it at that. That's not that I don't think there's some fine ones, but I also will say there's some nonprofits that I don't think are that great. Certainly Leadership Head County doesn't fall into that category, but where do you stop?
Anyone want to make a motion to deny the request at this time? Or continue to table it and maybe do some research, however you. Maybe you guys want.
I mean, I will say we have in the past few months turned down 2 other requests from, I think, well qualified and well-meaning and very valuable nonprofits due to just the same discussion points and to kind of protect the integrity of our finances. Budgetary constraints kind of dictate whether you can be more freely giving with some of those funds. And we just don't have a lot of excess funds at this time.
I was trying to remember, and I can't recall the meeting when it was. We had decided that it was a couple of years ago, but I don't remember when it was that there was a dollar amount that some were funded, and then it dropped down to like half, you know, and those that we were funding, we sent notice to that it was going to eventually.
Yeah, that was 2 years ago.
Yeah, so I think
Because of the budget
I think
constraint.
2025 was the first step of that, with 2026 being the cutoff. For that, if I recall correct.
Can I interrupt just a minute? If y'all would just table that, the police department has some funds that are used, and I believe she mentioned some drug related education there. In the past, we have supported a couple things dealing with the schools and drug prevention. And I'd like to explore whether some of that money could be used to maybe facilitate one of those scholarships. I have to do some checking, but if you could just table that until, that.
I appreciate that, Chief.
That's awesome.
Yes, I would make the motion that we table this.
I second that motion.
Further investigation from the chief.
I second that. We have a motion and a second to, excuse me, table Leadership Fayette County scholarship request until some more research is done. All those in favor? All opposed? Motion's carried. Thank you. Item number 2 is the Planning Commission recommendations. Item A, LC 66261 land classification changes of 1001 Elizabeth Street in Oak Hill, parcel 9781 and 2.5 Elizabeth Street in Oak Hill, parcel 9781.1 from R2 medium density residential district to B2 general business district. This is the second reading.
Yes, thank you, Mayor. This is the second reading. This is for 2 parcels here owned by Cassandra Ortiz, optometrist at New River Vision Care, requesting to rezone this into a more appropriate district. It's been business. This business has been here for many years, and it's still remained as a residential district. So this would be to align it with the appropriate use, and it did come as a recommendation from the Planning Commission. You all did approve this at the last meeting as the first reading, or at the last regular meeting, I should say, which was July. And so this is the second reading. If this is adopted and approved tonight, it will take effect. This will be the final reading.
Mayor, I'll move that. We move forward with the second reading of rezoning 1001 Elizabeth Street.
I'll second that.
We have a motion and a second to rezone 1001 Elizabeth Street. All those in favor? All opposed? That motion is carried. Item B, adoption of 1508-065 variances to Title 15, Planning and Zoning Code of the Oak Hill Municipal Code. This is the second reading as well.
That's correct. This ordinance clarifies and strengthens the variance provisions in Oak Hill Municipal Code 15.08 Board of Zoning Appeals by establishing clear approval standards and required findings of facts, and make some further distinctions there, as was discussed again at the last meeting during first reading. This will be the second reading, and if approved tonight, it will take effect.
I make a motion of the adoption of the 15.08.065 variance to Title 15 Planning and Zoning Code.
Do we have a second?
I'll say.
All those in favor? All opposed? Motion is carried. Thank you. Item C, amendment of 1406-020 preliminary layout of Title 14 subdivision regulations of the Oak Hill Municipal Code, second reading.
Again, second reading of this one. This is to establish the fee that is referenced in Title 14 of the subdivision regulations, but no fee was ever previously established. Again, this fee was recommended by the Planning Commission. This would be the second reading and would take effect if approved tonight.
I'll make that motion that we adopt this amendment.
I'll second it.
We have a motion and a second that we adopt amendment 1406-020. All those in favor? All opposed? That motion is carried as well. Item D, amendment of 1406-030 subdivision plat to Title 14 subdivision regulations of the Oak Hill Municipal Code, second reading.
Again, this is very similar to the previous one. It establishes the fee that was referenced in the subdivision regulations, but was never actually set. And this one is again a $50 fee recommended by the Planning Commission. This would be the second reading, and if approved tonight, we'll take it.
Again, I'll make that motion for that amendment.
I second that motion. We have a motion and a second, the amendment of 1406-030 subdivision plat to Title 14. All those in favor? All opposed? That motion is carried. Thank you. Moving along to new business. Recycling bin and container update.
Okay, I had sent you all an email previously, detailing this. This has obviously this was discussed in the last council meeting. It's been requested, I think, by many people, to you all. And so we're, exploring the options here of what we can do. The previous email that I sent you, Josh has reached out to the Solid Waste Authority, Fayette County Solid Waste Authority member, Dan Helton, to discuss the matter. Dan had indicated that was needed to be discussed at a Solid Waste Authority board meeting, which did happen today. Josh went to that meeting and represented us there to see what our options are and if they would approve an additional recycling bin. Based on Josh's discussions with Mr. Helton, it seems as though the next logical step and the most reasonable step is to add, in addition to our cardboard only bin, a plastic only bin. The cardboard only bin, and Josh can attest to this, has been successful. It is not being abused or very minimally. And oftentimes there are problems with people contaminating that bin with additional trash, and we've not seen a whole lot of that, if any. And so I'll turn it over to Josh. Josh did go to the Solid Waste Authority Board to the meeting today at 1 o'clock, spoke with them, and has an update for us.
Sure. So on behalf of the city of Oak Hill, I did attend that meeting and expressed the fact that it has been greatly received by the community. It's been well respected. We are seeing, the Park and Rec Department does monitor the recycling bin. And so it's up to us to ensure that we're pulling any trash out and then also assisting with making sure that it gets emptied on almost a weekly basis. And so they were surprised to hear that. So I just expressed to them how great it's been received by the community, and how it is being requested, that, you know, we, perhaps as a part of the pilot program that we are a part of with the Solid Waste Authority, that we get an additional recycling bin. It was their suggestion, like Tyler said, that, maybe the next step within the pilot program is to get a plastic recycling container. They then voted on that. They made a motion, voted on it, and they approved for us to receive an additional plastic recycling bin.
Right.
So that is good news. It is important to know that we are within the pilot program. And so I was asked to report back to the Solid Waste Authority every month, with a 6-month meeting in attendance at one of their meetings to discuss the termination of the pilot program, in which case the city of Oak Hill would incur part of the cost of those recycling bins. And the cost of those recycling bins comes from them being hauled away and replaced, in which case the Solid Waste Authority employs Whitecap Waste to do that. Right now, they are incurring all the cost of that haulage for the recycling bins being switched out. And that will continue for another 6 months until it's discussed and then terminated.
Did they discuss how much that is, Josh?
We did not discuss how much that is, but we didn't discuss it in person, but I did receive some of the numbers for the cost. And I think we determined it was roughly around $500 to $750 a month.
Last month's haulage for just the cardboard was $750.
And that is when it is replaced every week. And that is the case so our cardboard recycling bin is being replaced with a new bin every week.
How much money does the Solid Waste Authority receive when they sell the recycled material?
I do not know.
Would that not offset the cost of that is proposed we pay in 6 months?
I'm happy to look into that, Mr. Impus.
That's a pretty high figure.
So that would that be 700 for the cardboard and then 700 for the plastic also?
That is the way I understand it.
Yeah, I mean, we don't know for sure. It's based on how many times it has to be emptied. That indicated emptying it several times, I think at least 3 times. One was 500 and one was 250. So I think one of them maybe had 2 haulage bills on one line item we saw, and the other one was 250. Assuming that plastics would get emptied at the same rate, we could be looking at $1,500 per month to have those continuously empty. There is the question about if there's any recoup of that cost. We'd have to explore that.
Right now, we're under the 6-month trial period, correct?
Well, it's been longer than 6 months so far.
It's been about 6 months for the cardboard recycling bin, in which case they're continuing the pilot program for another 6 months. For the class. Just to see how it's received within the community and if it's a need.
I mean, we can certainly explore that question as to what funds they may get back from the recycling, and report back to you on that as we kind of move through the next couple of months. At some point, I think we're gonna have to end up making a decision when we come off the pilot program. Do we keep those and fund it, or discontinue the recycling, which may not be ideal, judging by the level of interest that and the level of use. They seem to be being used a lot.
It seems like they would make money off of that.
I would assume.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's what I was thinking. I mean, if we're sending it there, I mean, newspapers, paper, all that gets recycled. They get paid for it because they do it, at Tractor Supply, those bundles that we make, we get a certain amount sent back to the company on those bales of cardboard that they sell, that they recycle. I don't know what it is. I'll say it's a whole bunch, but
Yeah, it is curious.
Some of it
It's
is.
curious because they're paying Whitecap Waste $750 approximately per month to haul it all.
Yeah, so you know they're making more than that.
Well, who's making the money? Is it Whitecap Waste? And in that case, would we see any of that, or is it simply we paid for the service from Whitecap Waste and they see all the profit, the profit they're charging us, and then I don't know.
The recyclables are being processed at the Raleigh County landfill by the Raleigh County Solid Waste Authority. Yep.
So we'll just have to ask some questions and see what we can find.
So good news about the plastic recycling bin, coming to Oak Hill, and within that pilot program, I can report back to you, and let you know, exactly what some of the numbers might be.
Josh, did they indicate when, that might arrive?
I was, instructed to make the call tomorrow, so it could happen, ASAP.
Okay. So we should see the plastic recycling bin there within probably the next week or two.
In the
depending
same
on-
place, correct?
Depending on their schedule.
That's correct, same place, and yes, I would say by the end of the week.
And also, Josh, I think you were gonna talk to the Solid Waste Authority about maybe some signage, to put out there with those.
Yes, the Raleigh County Solid Waste Authority, they do have some signage that can accompany any recycling bin. So beyond cardboard, once you get into other recyclables, they do suggest to make public service announcements for how to recycle, what not to do, what to do, in which case they have signage, as well as some information for some public outreach on social media and whatnot.
All sounds good. Just get some numbers
Okay.
for us.
Yeah, no real action on this item. It was on here as an update, as you all requested the update, so no action to take.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you, John.
Great, Josh. Thank you.
Item number 4, the brush yard debris drop-off location discussion. Excuse me.
Another item we get a lot of questions about, it's been brought up a number of times. I know, some of the citizens are bringing that up to you all. I was asked to, again, put this on the agenda to discuss. It's a lot more in depth than one would think. Obviously, we had that here for years. It was more of an informal place that we dumped that brush. Ultimately, we were questioned about it, from a number of different state agencies, one of which was DEP, in regards to having the proper permitting for that location. The other is from the, Land and Water Conservation Fund program at the state, because due to previous funding from the Land and Water Conservation Fund and restrictions that were placed on the deed, we're not supposed to have things other than recreational facilities on the Collins Middle School property. Or I'm sorry, the Collins Park property. So we're not supposed to have, that dumping site is not an approved use of that. And that was something that would have been agreed to as far as those deed restrictions at the time of that Land and Water Conservation funding, which I believe was in the early 90s. I think they received, I would have to look up exactly. I've looked at it before. I think it was around $50,000 at that time for, and I believe it was improvements to tennis courts down there, I believe. So it very similar to what we did and agreed to down at City Park, when we agreed to, participate in that program for enhancements to our playground. So the City Park does also have that deed restriction on it. We could not do something similar, outside of recreational activities down at City Park. Russell E. Matthew Park is actually under the same conservation easement as well. So it's very common and it's part of that funding stream. So, but aside from that, there are some regulatory things if you wanted to establish a dumping area through the DEP, and it depends on how you classify that, what you're actually doing with that dumping area, if you wanted to reestablish that. So there's and some municipalities I'm aware of do this. They have a site that is a temporary holding site for grinding, mulching, composting, such debris and yard waste. In that scenario, as I understand it, the municipality would have to have equipment and personnel to process it on that site. And it's essentially there for a short period of time, and then it gets removed from that site and put elsewhere. And so it's more of a staging ground for recycling of that. Some municipalities do have a facility like that for mulch, and then they make that mulch available for people to come and get for free or for a fee. Some turn it into compost and have a composting facility. Either way, it's intense management. You have to have the facilities and the machinery to do it. And a lot of that is specialized machinery for the mulching and the composting. And you have to be permitted from the DEP to do that. So what is a seemingly simple operation can get very complex and in depth. In addition to the DEP permit to operate as a non-residential composter, you may also be dealing with stormwater issues, as you would have stormwater runoff from that type of facility. So you may then be dealing with an industrial stormwater permit as well. If you go the other route, which would be to dump the brush or debris on that site with the intent to leave it on that site for permanent composting, so to speak, or fill, that then starts to look more like a solid waste management, solid waste disposal facility, which is also regulated by the DEP under different guidelines. And so essentially at that point, you're a small landfill. And there's all the things that come with that, including all the regulatory requirements for the solid waste management, in addition to stormwater runoff that you have to control. At that point, they may consider stormwater runoff from that facility as leachate, which is governed by that's like landfill runoff that could potentially be contaminated. It has to be dealt with properly. For example, leachate from the former Fayette County landfill has to come to our wastewater treatment plant for proper treatment and disposal. And that comes at a significant cost. So there's a lot of factors. Some of it you don't know until which way we'd have to determine exactly how we want to use it. Well, the way that we were using our previous site was not as a temporary storage and processing facility. And we don't have the equipment or the personnel to operate such a facility. Number two, we don't have a site currently that we could use for such a facility that I'm aware of. So we would have to acquire a property in order to do that. And we don't have a property right now. I don't think that it would be desirable for us to start such a facility with the administrative overhead and regulatory requirements that are involved in that. I just feel like with our level of operations, with our staffing, it's not something that would be efficient or advisable for us to pursue at this point. So that's my synopsis. Happy to answer any questions. Some of it I don't have specifics on because as you read about this, essentially the way that you want to operate that facility, you need to contact the waste disposal section with DEP and start the conversation with them to see what basket they put you in for regulations.
You need action on this?
I don't need any action on it. There's nothing before council at this time other than just an update and a clarification as to what it takes and why we don't have that brush drop-off facility anymore. I realize it's inconvenient for our citizens not to have that. It was a great convenience for them to have it. It was a bit of a headache for us at the time. Oftentimes it was to deal with that. But with the additional regulatory requirements to do it properly, I think it would be a much larger burden, strategically and functionally and practically.
It's just unfortunate because so many people have, I mean, just in these last two storms we've had, along Lansdowne.
It is, and I understand it, and sometimes it can be a challenge, for people to get rid of that debris, but. You know, for us to start a facility, the closest facility to properly manage that is the Raleigh County Solid Waste. And they have all the permits, and that's why you typically don't see, those are more large operations, and you don't see a lot of small ones because there are so many regulations pertaining to that. It's just not, it's not efficient to, try to do it on a smaller scale.
I understand what you're saying, but it's still,
Well,
I always wanna ask.
I think that it was a good thing, but I think there's a lot of people come sneaking in, wasn't just throwing in some of their brush and trees.
There were.
Sometimes that causes problems for the people that does have brush and trees, so you have to have some type of. Somebody stay there to kind of keep eye on things, and that costs money also, so.
Happy to answer any further questions. Otherwise, don't need any action, just wanted to kind of provide that information and that, not really an update, but clarification and explanation as to where we're at with that as we're getting complaints and getting, you know, questions or, you know, people asking you all about it. That's some information that you all can provide. I know maybe it's not a great answer for some people, but that's the reality of it.
Mhm. Moving on to item number 5, order and award the paving bid.
Okay, so this is our annual street paving. We advertised this back in June twice as required. We held our mandatory pre-bid conference on July 14th. We had 3 paving contractors in attendance at that pre-bid conference. And bids were due today. So I have 3 sealed bids. These bids have not been opened. We're gonna open them now. And so if you'll bear with me, I'll take a moment to review these bids, and then do a brief check on them to make sure that they appear to meet the qualifications, and then I'll read these bids aloud. So bear with me just one second.
Right.
Yeah, sir.
While you're doing the review, if I could, Mayor, I'd like to recognize that Sir David Kirk is in attendance at our city council meeting, former public works director, and I appreciate seeing you day to day.
Yeah.
That's cool.
Thank you for coming.
Yeah, good times.
Okay,
We find something for you to do.
the first bid I've opened here is from Asphalt Contractors and Site Work Incorporated. Their bid does appear to be in order. As per the requirements, they do have, each street itemized, and then they've got the bid total at the bottom. I'm gonna read the bid total, because that is a summation of what we'll be looking at. So we'll go off the bid title, but they do have, per our requirements, the itemized list here as well. And so this, bid from Asphalt Contractors and Site Work Incorporated is $285,770. Next bid is from Mr. Asphalt. It really met the requirement of a sealed bid. Okay, at a cursory glance, they do appear to have met the requirements. I will say, all three of these were in attendance, reviewing these. They were in attendance with our mandatory pre-bid conference, which is a requirement. So all three bids that were received were attendees at that conference. So the total bid from Mr. Asphalt is $227,731.80. Okay, the final bid is from Southern West Virginia Paving. This bid does appear to be in order. The total price for Southern West Virginia Paving is $200,850. So of those, it would appear that Southern West Virginia Paving is the low bidder at $200,850. So at this point, I think we can award, or I would accept, I think we would accept a motion to award the bid to them and proceed with the contract after a more in-depth review to make sure that all requirements have in fact been met.
Mayor, I'll make the motion for Southern West Virginia paving for $200,850 after a complete review that meets the requirements.
I second
Second that motion.
We have a motion and a second. May, for West Virginia paving, all those in favor? All opposed? Carried. Thank you, Tyler. Item number 6, our Veterans Banner Policy Discussion.
Okay, so I previously sent you all an email. I'm gonna open up a document that has our policy in it. We do have some policy definitions, rules and guidelines, so to speak, that we established when we set out this program several years ago. These are clearly defined when you go, and I just want to step back just a second. I'll show you when you go to our Veterans Banner application online, which is what I have shown on the screen right now. You will see all of these, we have 21 bullet points there. That's our rules and guidelines and policies here in place. It's a little bit easier to look at. I copied that over to this Word document so we can look at it. Obviously, there's been a request to remove a banner. I think we need to look at these individual policy items. I don't know if you all have had a chance to review those and, determine if there's something that we need to add, subtract, modify, amend that would help us account for a situation where it may be warranted to remove a banner for one reason or another. I mean, I'm happy to go through them, one at a time through all 21 bullet points. If you all have had a chance to read those and don't think it's necessary, that's fine as well. If you all have some discussion points. Happy to answer any questions. Let me see if I can zoom in just. How's that?
Yes, when I was reading number 10, the discretion of the city, but then that's actually when you put it out throughout the year.
Well, I think it could be interpreted as at the total discretion of the city. It does define the anticipated display period. Again, probably not clearly defined for any particular situation where you would consider movable. No,
Going through that, cause I didn't see. Whenever I looked through it, I didn't actually see anything that we could actually. I don't see anything in there that is a disqualification of that. But I feel that this is something that we as a council need to add to this so that we don't have this issue at a later date.
So number 3, the banners are paid for by the sponsor, but are the property of the city of Oak Hill. So would that give us the right if we choose to adopt something else?
well, I mean, it is our property and one could interpret that as, once it's our property, we would have the discretion to display our property as we wish. Obviously, with this program, it's, the intent is to display them at the request of the sponsor. The sponsor is the one who makes the initial request. The sponsor is the one who pays for the banner. With the expectation, if they pay for that banner, that their banner will be displayed. I think you could potentially get into some questions about refunding money if the city decided to remove a banner against the wishes, or in any case, not requested by the sponsor. We have had just a very few instances of the sponsor requesting that their banner be removed. And we facilitated those because we felt like it was reasonable. I mean, they're the ones who requested the banner to be put up, so if they then subsequently withdraw that request, it stands to reason that we would fill that request to remove it. We've not issued a refund, to my knowledge, of anybody that's requested that. Oftentimes, if they did request it, they would want to use that for their own purposes, to be displayed in home or otherwise. I'm not really, you know, if I do whatever they wanted to with it at that point. So that's not clearly identified, I suppose, in these, that if a sponsor.
Kind of vague, isn't it?
If a well, you know, you don't anticipate all the scenarios when you start a program like this. I mean, I think the program has been very successful over the last several years. A lot of people are very happy with it. And it's grown. We get new requests, new banner purchases every year, to the point where we've had trouble finding additional placement areas for the banners. So we've kind of filled up primary corridors. So, you know, by and large, this has been a successful program. And it's impossible to anticipate every scenario when you set out on something like this. We have a pretty solid set of kind of rules and guidelines here.
How many banners do we have displayed through the city?
I'd have to look exactly. I think I may have written it down here. I think it's 305.
Okay. I thought you'd sent an email. I thought it was.
Yeah, I did. I have a listing of 305 banners in our list.
The banner that is being spoke of was purchased first by the ex-mayor, with time requested it down. Banner that's up now, myself and a few others bought, because we thought it was wrong. Take it down. It's fine with us. Until he's proven guilty, take it down. And that way, there's nothing on you all. You can put it up. But I was one of the guys who went in, paid to buy another banner. So in my As far as I'm concerned, take it down.
Well, thank you. Mr.
Just
Curran. Yeah, well, that's, yeah.
That's, he asked to have it taken down.
Right, yeah, that was one of the ones where the sponsor asked to have the banner removed.
So in essence, right now, with that said, the sponsor is asking that this banner be removed also.
Yes. And so if you all would want to add in a specific addition to this policy that says if you as a sponsor or if the sponsor of a banner subsequently requests the banner to be removed, the city is inclined to oblige and return that banner to the sponsor. Or something very similar to that. I think we could establish that and make that addition to the policy and then follow through with that, given that request.
I think that would be good. I just don't think we need to get into trying to vet every candidate that gets put up there.
I agree. I think that would be administratively burdensome. Statistically, there's a likelihood that there are banners displayed for people who may have had some sort of criminal conviction in the past, may have been in trouble with the law. It would be impossible for us to vet that, do a background check on it. I mean, it's just administratively burdensome and it gets well beyond what the intent of the program, which is for whoever the sponsor is, to honor someone's prior military service. But again, understanding there are special circumstances where may not be desirable or appropriate to display a banner. So I think in this case, maybe with the addition of that policy, specifying that policy, that is that is a informal policy. If a sponsor has requested that in the past, we wouldn't. So it's not outside of the realm of what.
Could we check maybe with like the municipal league or someone to see if they have an established policy on removal?
I think that would be a good idea. In addition to the municipal league, the vendor that sells the banners that operates in several states, they may have an example as well.
So how many sponsors altogether? Because I mean, you're not speaking for all of them, are you? Is everybody?
For myself,
Is, okay,
there's some others, and I'm sure they'll feel the same way.
okay.
Just take it down until whatever happens. Convicted, then do away with.
All right.
Mayor, at the request of the sponsor to take it down, I'll move that we take the banner down.
Second.
We have a motion and a second that the in question banner be removed. May I have hold on just a minute. Trying to get this worded exactly right here. All right. Maybe we already have a motion, so all those in favor? All opposed? All right, we'll leave it at that. Number 7, hotel fee ordinance discussion, fire fee. Thank you, Mr. Kirk.
Yes, thank you.
Yes. Okay, so this has been something we've been discussing several months now. Moving forward with trying to narrow in on getting this ordinance written, getting it drafted in the way that you want it. There are several questions as you start getting into the implementation of this hotel package, which as a reminder is a fee to be added to the nightly stay at hotels to be imposed upon transient lodgers, those traveling, coming into the area to stay. It is not a fee that's imposed on the hotel operators. It's a pass-through fee that is charged to the lodgers there at the hotel. And so I don't know, have you seen Paul Witt joining? Mr. Witt, Paul Witt, who's affiliated with the Holiday Lodge and the Comfort Inn, did want to be here to speak tonight. He had a conflict because Summersville, the city of Summersville, is taking up the same matter tonight, which is also affecting the hotels in the company that he works for. He was already planning to be in attendance there. He was gonna try to jump in on Zoom to voice his opinion on this. But it doesn't appear that he's on here yet. Maybe he'll jump in during the course of our discussion. He did have some concerns. I'll kind of relay a little bit of that just on his behalf. He is and I say he as a representative of the owners, the common owners of the Holiday Lodge and the Comfort Inn. He/they are the only operators that this would affect. We have essentially one operator than the two hotels, rather than two hotels. So if it is strictly imposed upon hotels, that's the only operator this would affect. And he has concerns. One that he expressed to me about the financial viability of their businesses. And he was concerned about the impact that this would have, especially with the Holiday Lodge having just come back online, trying to get back on their feet, trying to establish competitive rates. I don't want to speak too much for him, but or justify, because I can't justify, his arguments on it. It's not my place to do so. He did have concerns. He did express that he would feel much better if this were phased in over a couple of years, which is the example that we keep referring back to. And we've worked with Fayetteville. We discussed this in the beginning. Fayetteville is trying to move in this direction as well. One of the examples they're using is the city of Bridgeport. Bridgeport has this established. I think it went into effect July 1st, 2024, I think. And so that's kind of an example that we've been using that appears to be successful, and we're kind of modeling the shaping of this ordinance on what they've done. They did implement theirs in a three-step implementation phase. The first step was $3 per night. The second step, which took place a year later, was $4.50 a night. The third step, which took place a year after that, it went to their full and final fee of $6 per night per room. And so they did implement that over the course of 3 years. That is a question that I have that I need answered before I can draft the ordinance in the way. So that's something that I do need specified. And again, to reiterate kind of my conversation with Mr. Witt, he expressed that would be more favorable to their business operations as well. He expressed to me that he was afraid that adding that cost to impose on their customers could push their prices up to slightly beyond a competitive rate. People would then go elsewhere. So the other question I have is about the implementation on other forms of lodging. It's been discussed, and I think Fayetteville is in fact trying to impose or intending to impose this on Airbnbs. I think potentially campgrounds, cabins, and RV parks, or some combination thereof. But theirs is extending. I did confirm with Carl Harris, their prosecuting attorney or their city attorney. They are implementing this on more than just hotels. So that's the question that I also need defined. Are we just going to do hotels? Bridgeport's just does hotels. I do think that would be easier, at least as a first step to implement. I think it would be more efficient. I think trying to include everything may logistically and administratively be more difficult to get implemented and actually have people to start remitting those funds and being able to have a mechanism to charge it. From my discussion with Mr. Witt, from the hotel operator standpoint, it's essentially they can go into their system, and I don't want to overstep or put words in his mouth, but it seemed like it was a fairly easy thing to implement within their property management system to add that additional. I can't speak to that from the owners of Airbnbs or campgrounds or RV parks. So that would be something, an item for discussion. So who do you implement it upon? what is the desired fee per night? And do you want to implement that in a stepped implementation over a couple of years or all at once? And then the third question I have is the effective date. When do you want to make it effective? For some, that's going to depend on when it passes. Obviously, this is an ordinance. It'll have to go through a first reading and a second reading. But because this is an ordinance that's primarily for the generation of revenue, it also has to be advertised, which should be able to be done between the first reading and the second reading. It's a class 2 legal advertising. I need to double check to make sure that there's not a public hearing requirement. I don't know, Mr. Fowle, if you know right offhand.
Yes, that should be a public.
Okay, so that makes.
It's been part of the council.
Yeah. So that could be, that public hearing could be held in conjunction potentially with the second reading. I need to double check that, but there are some additional requirements beyond that of a standard ordinance, such as the other ones we passed this evening. That don't have those additional requirements because their primary purpose is not the generation of revenue. So typically, for example, Bridgeport's, and again, keep using that as the example because that's really the only viable example that we've got so far of one that's actually been put in place. Theirs went into effect, was passed on second reading March, went into effect July 1st. And we could be looking at potentially, January 1st, 2027 could be a reasonable benchmark. We get maybe first reading in September. Once I get the answers I need for these questions, we could potentially be poised to do a first reading in September and a second reading in October with an effective date of January the 1st. And that allows your operators time to be able to actually get it established, which is commonplace with new laws or ordinances that are in place.
Good. Let me ask Mr. Powell, could we do a first reading by title and answer those questions in the motion? And have a second reading in September?
That's sooner than that. I would consider motion.
That's what I was asking.
If you need to have, whatever you move on tonight, you need to have all the details. In other words, you can't make a motion if you have an idea about how those issues that Powell is related to.
If they're
addressed.
Phased in, the phase in question, the Airbnb questions.
Implementation date.
And the implementation date, if that's in the form of a motion, could we consider a first reading this evening? Okay, I'll make a motion that it'll be on the floor for discussion, but I move that we have that this is the first reading of the hotel fire fee ordinance that would include a 3-year phase in, starting at $3 the first year, $4.50 the next year, and the third year, $6. And that it does not initially include Airbnbs, campgrounds, cabins.
I suppose you could just say you brought the only include
only to include hotels, motels.
I second that motion.
Hotels, motels. Is it more?
To be effective, with the effective date, which does not coincide with the second reading, would be October 1st.
I second that motion.
All right, we have a motion and a second for the hotel fire fee ordinance 3-year phase in, $3, then $4.50, and then $6. And this will only include hotels. This will be the first reading. Any further discussion?
Yes, sir.
Yes, sir. If we could have as a future agenda item, after the city manager and the city attorney have researched it, to include Airbnbs, cabins, campgrounds, because I think it's inherently unfair to only consider this for hotels. I understand we're doing it initially, but to not include all forms of lodging, I think is unfair, and that I would like to move forward with those other forms of lodging as soon as possible.
Then you have a second on that.
I second that.
All right, all those in favor?
Hold on a minute.
Oh, give it up.
So what we're saying, Bill, is to relook at, so pass this and then relook at adding the Airbnbs and everything else?
Yes, sir.
Will that be added before the second reading?
I don't think that's necessary. I believe Airbnb should be included.
Absolutely.
I'm gonna make that clear, and campgrounds but on the advice of the city manager to begin this process, to phase in the hotel fire fee, I think it's logical. I know it's gonna be time consuming on you as it is to just include the hotels, and I think just to make it feasible to do all that, I don't think it would be feasible to set up to include all forms of lodging by October 1st. I think that would be really cumbersome, but I'll make it clear. I've said before that I believe if we're gonna do it for one form of lodging, we need to do it for all.
I agree with that.
Brent Busker, I do want to clarify, your question, would it be included by the implementation, or definitely not by the second reading? We certainly could not, because you can't make substantial changes between first and second reading, so definitely not then. I don't know that we would have it prepared and properly researched by then, but I mean, we'll research it. I will say this, by the time that comes around.
Oh, sure. Actually, looking at the way it's on the agenda, I'm not sure it's completely appropriate tonight to have first reading of the ordinance prior to the ordinance being. I think we should have the ordinance here to say with first reading, we have that.
Fair enough.
Well, we placed that on the agenda for the special meeting that we're having.
We have a special meeting, which will be in the announcements coming up August 27th. We can certainly make every effort to have it prepared in time for that meeting, at which time we can do the first reading. The second reading could then be at the September regular meeting, as it would be moving forward from the month. So if we can get it ready for a first reading by August the 27th, we can have that reading and still have the second reading at the September regular meeting.
And that would take effect October 1.
Which it'd be under the same time frame as what we were dealing with tonight.
Yep. With a second, I can't amend my motion, so we
have to vote that.
We can vote it now.
I want to say something else.
Yeah.
So what is Fayetteville doing with the rate?
I haven't confirmed their rate, but I was gonna say that will give us an opportunity, because they, in my discussion with Carl Harris, I think at their next meeting, we'll be doing a first reading. I think it's anticipated that they'll be doing a first reading. So we'll have an example to go by in the very near future to see, and also we'll have maybe a little bit of time to confer with them to find out how it's working on the implementation with campgrounds, RV parks, Airbnbs, especially Airbnbs. I think that may be the trickier one. Your campgrounds and your RV parks are typically known and established. Airbnbs are a moving target. They go in and go out every day for free. So I think that'll be helpful to see how that works out from them too, knowing that they are definitely going to add that into their work.
I have one question, just something to throw out there on it. As far as accounting purposes, would you have a preference? Would it be January 1 or fiscal year? Is there one way that would make it easier and better for accounting purposes? So that we know how to put it in motion?
It can start in October, I mean.
Right now, we need to shoot this motion down, correct?
All right, all those in favor?
Nay.
All opposed?
Uh,
Motion does not carry, it is opposed. You wanna do that? You
No, we'll do that
wanna wait for
at the
that?
special meeting.
All right. All right, then we are set. Any other questions on this matter? And item number 8 is the ordinance to adopt the private road at Fed Square development.
This is a matter that you all discussed at a special council meeting on April the 21st previously, and actually, I think several council meetings prior to that. You, by vote on April 21st, indicated that you would at that time wanted to move towards adoption of this property. That's the first step in it. Then we actually have to draft the ordinance, and we have to adopt property by ordinance with two readings at council to actually officially adopt that property. And of course, then a deed has to be created and filed. So there's a subsequent flurry of paperwork that has to be done. This is now, it's been a few months. We've been working with our attorney has talked to Mr. Bowling's attorney. We went through a first draft of the deed. Some questions were brought up at that point when we actually saw the first draft of that deed, and that deed made reference to a shopping center reciprocal easement and license agreement that was in place from 1993, from the original shopping center that was there to this portion, which is essentially, the extension. And we have some questions, and Mr. Fowles has brought up some good points, questions about duties and obligations that may be imposed upon us if we do adopt that property and potentially become a party as a share owner in that property belonging to that shopping center. Duties and obligations that maybe we may be liable for. And so there's just been some questions. I will say I do have Mayor, if you want to allow him to speak, or council, if you wish, Mr. Bowling is joining us via Zoom, and he's on here tonight. And so if you all want to, you can ask questions, or it's not necessary, but he is available. So aside from that, in talking with Mr. Fowle, prior to doing a first reading of this ordinance to adopt, we may want to consider an official legal opinion as to what implications, obligations, responsibilities, liabilities may be placed upon us by becoming a property owner within that shopping center, based on that reciprocal agreement that's in place. We just don't know the answers to these questions legally at this time. And we feel like maybe, and again, based on the advice of Mr. Fowle, maybe to do our due diligence now that we're aware of this agreement that we were previously unaware of, may be good to go ahead and just have a title exam performed and get a title report for this property, which would include any potential liabilities, responsibilities, or other restrictions or responsibilities we would have as it pertains to that reciprocal agreement, if any. There may not be any. However, I feel like we need to have them do proper amount of research and give us a report. And that's up to you all, entirely up to you all. This is just based on our review, new information that came to light when the draft deed came to us. That's the point at which we first heard about this reciprocal agreement between the shopping centers, which we were previously.
Mayor, I'd like to speak on this. Since the special meeting where this was voted on, there's been some new information discovered that we were not made aware of at that time. And while reviewing these documents, I have some questions about the shopping center reciprocal easement and the license agreement, which is also known as the REA, plus 2 amendments between the owners of this property and the ones named in the shopping center. In that REA, there is some language that I question. For example, it appears that all parties involved that are property owners, like the city would be with the small parcel of land that's being offered in addition to the road, currently or in the future, are now and will be required to maintain and make road repairs. I don't think we as a city should be a third party agreement with multiple property owners and possibly be tied to having to make repairs to a road that's on private property. There's another section in that REA that speaks of, quote, no dedication to public. This itself may prevent the property owner from transferring it to a municipality or state for purposes of creating a public road. It also speaks of public gift and the public use, and they reserve the right to close the road at any time. We cannot allow a private entity to close a public funded street. This clause implies that all original parties intended on this to remain private and not become a public property. I may be wrong, but it doesn't look like anyone can get out of this agreement or just abandon it and walk away until 11:59 p.m. on December 31st, 2067. To me, it seems we've got more questions than we have answers. So I think we should table this item and have our attorney review all these documents to determine if it can be donated and accepted without violating this REA and without us being a third party in an agreement which we may obligate us to something we may not be aware of. Also, I would like to request that our attorney do a full title search to make sure everything is okay and there isn't anything unknown that we don't want to be involved in. At this time, I don't even think we can move on this ordinance as a first reading and call for a vote, because the findings in that review may change the language within the ordinance or the consensus within this item. With that said, Mayor, I motion to table number 8, ordinance to adopt private road of Fayette Square development until a review of all documents and full title search pertaining to this property are complete and presented to council for review.
I'll second that.
We have a motion and a second to table item number 8. All those in favor?
Aye.
All opposed? The motion is carried. The item is tabled for further research. Item number 9, consideration of appointment of Percy Fruit to the Board of Zoning Appeals.
Yes, there is a vacancy currently, on the Board of Zoning Appeals.
Who are we replacing?
It's not a replacement, there's a vacancy currently. There's one, let me pull up the list of members here. So in the yellow, we have the one vacancy here. And Mr. Fruit has expressed interest in and a desire to serve. This was not advertised or otherwise solicited. This came as a request and an interest to serve. And these members served a 3-year term. And that term would expire. It's not to exceed a 3-year term. Current 3-year term would expire January 1st, 2029. So that will be the matter before you, is the question of appointment of Mr. Percy Fruit to the Board of Zoning Appeals for a term which would expire on January 1st, 2029.
I'll make a motion that we appoint Percy Fruit to the Board of Zoning Appeals.
I second that motion.
We have a motion and a second to appoint Percy Fruit to the Board of Zoning Appeals. All those in favor? All opposed? Motion is carried. Thank you very much, folks. We'll wind down. You all have read your department reports in your packet. May we have a motion to accept them?
Mayor, I do have an MS4 report. If we may want to take that one separately, I'd like to read an item here before we accept those all. Okay, thank you. I have a MS4 message this evening, and this is in regards to stormwater awareness, rain barrels, and runoff reduction. As we look for ways to protect our local environment and reduce flooding, we want to talk about a simple tool residents can use at home: rain barrels. Our community storm drains are part of the MS4 system, which carries rainwater directly to nearby streams without treatment. During heavy rain, excess runoff can overwhelm drainage systems and carry pollutants into our waterways. Rain barrels help by capturing water from rooftops before it reaches the storm drain system. This stored water can then be reused for gardening, landscaping, and other outdoor needs. Using rain barrels offers several benefits. It reduces stormwater runoff and helps prevent localized flooding. It conserves drinking water by providing a free source of water for outdoor use. It helps keep pollutants like fertilizers and debris out of our streams. Installing a rain barrel is simple and affordable, and many systems can be connected directly to existing downspouts. By capturing rain where it falls, residents can play a direct role in improving water quality and strengthening our community's stormwater system. Remember, only rain should go down the storm drain.
All right, thank you. Chief, both chiefs, you guys have anything to say? All right, thank you. Appreciate you both coming. All right, may we have a motion to accept all of our department reports, please?
My motion is set for our apartment. What?
I second that motion.
We have a motion and a second to accept all department reports. All those in favor?
Aye.
All opposed? That motion is carried. Do we have any council comments? Do we have any future agenda items?
Other than the research to, on the hotel fire fee to include other forms of lodging. So have that done.
Don't forget about our Oak Leaf Parade. Don't want to get eat up the parking lot. Hopefully you all can get it and join us on the parade this year, guys. I mean, this is our last hurrah here, so we should all probably, pull away. Get that intro. All right.
Yeah, just wanna say something real quick. We're gonna have a table set up at the Oak Leaf for the city and then stuff to hand out. If you all wanna hang out at the table a few hours or something. It's from 8 to 4 on Saturday and they'll have a table from 1 to 6 on Sunday. And it's MS4 stuff, we'll have needles eye stuff from the police department, the fire department, and some CVB stuff to get one.
And I have just one thing I pointed out to Sunday, the time for the gospel sing at the Church of the Nazarene is printed as 7 p.m. It's actually 6 p.m. So those in the listening area, the gospel sing will start at 6 p.m. Thank you.
Thank you. Our city manager application period has been extended to August 26th, ending at 5 p.m. And there will be a special council meeting August 27th at 6 p.m. If all minds are clear, and we have a motion to adjourn.
I'll make that motion.
A second.
We have a motion and a second to adjourn. All in favor?
Aye.
Have a good night, everyone.